The senator from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank my colleague from Minnesota for her wonderful remarks and for her wonderful comments about those people who go down into the mines every day. And I want to acknowledge the permanent health care fix that we have for our miners and their families that was included in the FY17 appropriations legislation. This was a promise made by Harry Truman, and it was a promise that it was our obligation to keep. And the keeper of the flame for making sure that got done was my colleague, Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia. As he knows, my state, the state of Indiana, the Hoosier state, has thousands of miners as well. And they go to work in the dark, they come home in the dark, and they work in grueling conditions and have done so for decades. And part of it was the promise that was made to them that they and their family would have health care. A promise made by Harry Truman that it's our obligation to keep. And when the lights were starting to flicker and it was getting dimmer on this promise that it would ever be kept, we fought for years. Joe Manchin led the fight, led the crew, and we got this done. And it's a good example of what Congress can do when we work in a bipartisan manner. And I want to thank all my colleagues on both sides for being part of this. Many people worked hard to secure the passage of this fix. And part of it was an amazing group of folks who came to visit us on a constant basis. Our friends from back home, the miners from Virginia and from West Virginia and from Indiana and from Ohio and from all around this country, who, if you remember, my colleague Joe Manchin was there that hot day this summer when it was 100 degrees outside. And all of these retired miners, many in their 70s, 80s, some in their 90s, were here in one of the hottest days of the year under extraordinarily difficult conditions, and they stayed and sat in the sun and in the heat because they said, we're here for our brothers and sisters. And they said, we know you're here for us too. And our leader was Joe Manchin. He lived this every single day, every single conversation that we had. And we were in it together, and we told our miners, we will never stop till we get this done. And we have the permanent health care fix done. And it was a wonderful team to work with. But there's no question that the captain of our team was a fellow from West Virginia. And to my colleague, Joe Manchin, we're so proud of you and so proud of you for keeping us moving forward. Thank you, Mr. President.